Good morning, students. In the last two classes, we discussed the historical development of the periodic table and classification of the elements into the different blocks and also general classification. So, in the long form of periodic table, we have already seen the 7 periods and the 18 groups. If you fill up all the 7 periods and groups, the last atomic number is 118. When we are observing the long form of periodic table, there are certain times empty spaces and certain times the different naming or different symbols are appear for us. So why that different symbols or sometimes why there are empty spaces are there? Wherever the empty space is there, that is clearly says that element is not yet discovered so far. And wherever some different symbol of the element is present, like UUB, okay, UN, okay, IUM, so UNQ, like that, if the different symbols are there, that is clearly indicates here there are certain disputes are there. So why that disputes? So generally up to 100 or 104 atomic number, there are no disputes in the discoveries of the elements. From the 104th element onwards, there are certain disputes or exist between the scientists. Why? Because 104 or greater than 104 bearing atomic number elements are rarely occurred or they are appeared in very minute quantity, and those elements synthesis or characterization is not easy in the ordinary laboratories. So in order to synthesize or characterization of the elements with the atomic number greater than 104, definitely the large amount of fund and sophisticated equipments or labs are needed. That's why very few people can concentrate on the research of these elements with atomic number greater than 100. In that case, the scientists can work with the competitive spirits to discover to characterize the properties of the elements with the atomic number greater than 100. Sometimes both the scientists may possible to work or research or characterize the same element. In that case, both the scientists were trying to claim that discovery of that element on their name. Then the dispute is started. So why should you give the name to that one? Even though I am discovering, why should not give the name, my name to that element? So that is appeared in the case of the atomic number 104, that is equal to 104. This is an element and synthesis or characterization or study, whatever it is done by the two scientists. One person is an American scientist, the another person is a Soviet scientist. So both are studied it. So this element with atomic number 104, and the American scientist Rutherfordium was claiming the name of that element is Rutherfordium. The Soviet scientist claimed the name as Kurchatovium, Kurchatovium. So this is Ku. This is Rutherfordium. So with respect to this American scientist, whereas the Soviet scientists give the name Kurchatovium, Ku, for the same element atomic number with Z is equal to 104. So now which is the right name for the element with atomic number 104? Then because the people whoever are interested in the chemistry, they definitely can study the properties of this 104th element. At that time, they are confused to naming the element with atomic number 104 as a Rutherfordium or Kuchovatium. So that's why, so in order to overcome these problems, the scientists were proposed a systematic naming of the elements which are in dispute. So that systematic naming is based on the Latin words. So for each digit, whatever it is appeared in the atomic number, for that one there is a one root word is there. That root words we have to be right. Okay. Finally, we can write IUM at the end of the root word. Then that is give the naming to that particular element. So that is now we discuss one by one. First, we have to learn that Latin words which are used. Okay, for the different digits appeared in the atomic number and what are the abbreviations are used. After that, we can discuss the how to write the name for the elements with the atomic number more than 100. So the notations for numbers used by the IUPAC nomenclature of elements, that notation are just now said, that is a Latin numbers. How we say? Suppose if 0 is there in the atomic number, we are using the root word nil. So that is represented with the symbol. Simple abbreviation is N. 1, un, abbreviation is U. If the 2 is the atomic number, one of that number is there in the atomic number, that is right with that root name is bi, then B. If 3 is present, tri, abbreviation is P. 4 is there, quad, that is Q. 5, pent, P. 6, X, H. 7, sept, S. 8, oct, O. 9, in, E. So these are the root words are used while writing the name of an element in the case of the atomic number more than 100. Suppose if an atomic number some 102 or 104 is given, in that 104, so the 3 digits are there, 1, 0, 3. In that 103, first we write 1 is there. 1 is there so that we write 1. What is that? Un. Then 0 is there. Then what you write? So nil. Un, nil. 3 is there. What you write? Tri. At the end of that one, we can add the IUM. So like that, we can write the name of the element with the help of these Latin root words. And for 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The root words are nil, un, bi, tri, quad, pent, x, sept, oct, in, respectively. So let us take 101 is there. In the 101, the 3 digits 1, 0, 1. First you write that 1. 1 means, here what is that? Un. So you write, first the capital letter, un. Then 0. 0 means, what is that? Nil. I-N-I-L. Then again 1 is there. 1 means, what is that? U-N. U-N. Then finally you can add the word I-U-M. Un-nil, un-yum. That is the IUPAC name of an element with atomic number 101. So simply this is represented with so the 3 letters. So first 1. What is the first letter? Is there? U. So that the symbol U. And 0. In that what is the first letter there? N. Small right. N. Then again the 1. What is there? U. So U, Nu is the symbol of the atomic number with 101. Similarly, if it is 102 is there, in the 102, 1 is that UN, 0, nil, and 2, that is bi. So whenever I is there at the end of that one, just you can neglect it one more time writing the I, just you can add what is it? UM. Then what is the symbol of an element with atomic number 102? So first letter is U. In the 0, what is the first letter? N. And in the 2, what is the first letter? B. U-N-B. So that is the symbol of an element with atomic number 102. Suppose if 103 is there. So 103, 1 means un, 0 means nil, 3 means tri. So in the root word already I is there. So that there is no need to be mentioned. Once again I, just you write UM added at the end. Then you get the symbol U, N, T. So this is the symbol of an element with atomic number 103. So 104. Then, so first you write 1, un, for 0, nil, for 4, what is that? Quad. Quad. So finally you can add IUM at the end. What is the symbol of this element? U, N, Q. So this is the symbol of the element. Similarly, if you write for 105, so what is that? 1, U, N, 0, nil, and 5, pent. Finally, you can add IUM. So what is the symbol? U. So next N, then P, UNP. Similarly, we write for 106. So 1 means un, nil. 6 means what is that? X, X, IUM. So what is the symbol? U, N, H. So like that, we write the IUPAC nomenclature by using the Latin root words for the different digits, okay, for the elements which are having the atomic number more than 100. So you have to be practiced after that from the 107 to 118 after listening this video. So the next topic is cause of periodicity. So in the development of the modern periodic table, we are arranging the elements in the increasing order of their atomic number. So the elements which are similar in properties, okay, fall under one group, and those are comes after a certain regular intervals, that is called as periodicity. That is the recurrence of similar properties of the elements after a certain regular intervals when they are arranged in the increasing order of atomic number is called periodicity. This is we observed in the Mendeleev's periodic table with the help of modern periodic law. So now here the question comes the two ways. One is why the elements are having the similar properties. Okay. So even though the elements are similar in properties, so why do they occur at certain regular intervals? After a certain regular interval, the similar properties of the elements come under one group. Why it is occurs? These are the two questions are commonly comes to our mind. So we need to be answer such questions here. Now, for example, you know very well the atom. Atom consists of which one? Nucleus. Around the nucleus, electrons are present. This is a common, you know. So whenever an atom is participated in the chemical reaction, does all the atom is participated? That means the nucleuses and electrons all are participated in the reactions? No. It has been found that in ordinary chemical reactions, okay, the nucleus of the atom does not participate in the chemical reaction. The nucleus of the atom does not participate in the chemical reaction means the protons and the neutrons does not involve in the chemical reaction. Now which part is involved in the chemical reaction? So electrons are participated in the chemical reaction. That means the properties of the elements depends upon the which one? Electrons. Okay. Whether all the electrons are participated in the reaction? No. Only in most of the cases, so the physical and chemical properties do not much depends upon all the electrons present in the atom. Only in some cases the properties are depends upon the inner shell electrons along with the outer shell electrons. But in most of the cases the properties are related to the number of electrons present in the outermost shell. And that means the elements which are having the similar properties is because of which one? The electrons present in the valence shell. Why? Because, for example, let us take the alkali metals. In the alkali metals, what are the alkali metals? Lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, francium, like that. So the lithium electronic configuration is 1s2, 2s1. Sodium electronic configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s1. Then potassium 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, 4s1. And here 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, 4s2, 3d10, 4p6, 5s1. So these are the electronic configurations of alkali metals. So now, when you are observing the outer shell, in the case of a lithium, the outer shell is 2s1, in the sodium 3s1, 4s1, 5s1. Because we concluded in most of the cases the physical and chemical properties are depends upon the number of electrons present in the outermost shell. When you are observing the case of the alkali metals, in the outermost shell, all the shells are having the same number of electrons, 1, 1, 1, 1. So that's why, because of having the same number of valency electrons, all the alkali metals are similar in properties. So that is the cause of the periodicity. And all the elements, when they are participating in a chemical reaction, all the elements can lose only one electrons, because by losing that one electron, they are getting the most stable electronic configuration of the respective noble gases. Then here, so that means all are participated by involving only one electron. All the elements of alkali metals are forming the same type of compounds. So that's why the repetition of that electronic configuration 2s1, 3s1, 4s1 and 5s1 is the cause of periodicity. The cause of periodicity is the repetition of electronic configuration of the atoms in the outermost shell after a certain regular intervals. So let us take another example. The halogens are very well. So what are the halogens? Fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, like that. Just I'll take the only 3 examples. You can easily understand. So here the configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2p5. Here what is the configuration? 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p5. Here the configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, 4s2, 3d10, 4p5. See here, when you are observing these halogens, fluorine, chlorine, bromine are similar in properties because of the repetition of electronic configuration in the outermost energy level. 2s2, 2p5, 3s2, 3p5, 4s2, 4p5. So all are having the same number of valency electrons, and one electron is deficient to get the most stable electronic configuration. By gaining the one electron, it is become 2s2, 2p6. So that here also it is become 3s2, 3p6, 4s2, 4p6. We are getting the stable electronic configuration of any one of the noble gas. So that means all the halogens are having a tendency to gain one electron. So all are forming by gaining of electron, it is forming the F minus, it is forming the Cl minus ion, it is forming the Br minus ion. Commonly they are represented with X minus ion. And all are existing as a X minus ion in their compounds. So here all the halogens are having the similar properties. Here all the alkali metals are having the similar properties. What is the reason? Reason is repetition of electronic configuration of atoms in the outermost shell is same. That is the cause of periodicity. So because of that one, in whatever the elements are fall under one group, they are having the similar physical and chemical properties. So go to the second portion of the second chapter. The first portion is classification of elements is over. Then go to the next, periodicity in properties. So what is the cause of the periodicity? Just now we discussed. Then go to the trends in physical properties. How that properties are various in periods and groups, that is we can discuss here. So physical properties. So you know very well there are numerous number of physical properties are there, like melting point, boiling point, density, enthalpy of fusion, enthalpy of vaporization, atomic size, ionization enthalpy, electron affinity, electronegativity, electropositivity. Like that, there are numerous physical properties are there. In these properties, some of the properties are directly related to the electronic configuration, some are indirectly related to the electronic configuration. The properties which are directly related to the electronic configuration, we can easily explain how they are varies, whether increases or decreases as we move from left to right in a period, as we go down in a group. So what are the properties are generally related, directly related to the electronic configuration? They are atomic radii, ionization enthalpy, electron affinity, electronegativity, electropositivity. So these are the some of the properties are directly related to the electronic configuration of atoms. So those properties now we can discuss one by one. So what is that property? How we can define the property? How they are varies in their respective periods and groups? That is we will discuss one by one. First we move towards the first property, atomic radii. So the first physical property we are going to discuss, that is atomic radii or atomic radius or atomic size. So this is one of the important property. So after this, whatever we discuss, ionization enthalpy, electron affinity or electronegativity and so many other physical properties are depends upon the atomic radii. So the first we need to know about atomic radii. So generally, so while discussing the atoms are always considered to be sphere or spherical in shape. So when they are considered to be spherical in shape, definitely the size of the atom is always equal to the radius of sphere. So like that we can define the atomic radii. Atomic radii, if it is considered to be spherical in shape, then what is atomic radii? Radius of a sphere. But generally, suppose an atom is consist of a nucleus. So these are the various shells are present. So suppose up to this shell the electrons are filled. So this is called outermost shell or valency shell. The remaining all are inner shells. So from here, the center of the nucleus to the outermost shell, whatever the distance is there, so generally that is called as atomic radii. Atomic radii is the distance between the center of the nucleus and the outermost shell electron. That is called as atomic radius. From here to here. This is. So is it possible to determine the exact atomic radius? No, it's not possible to determine. Not possible to determine the exact radius of an atom. Exact radius of an atom. Why it is not possible to determine the exact radius of an atom? So the reasons are, you know very well, generally the size of the atom is very small, that is around 10 to the power of minus 10 meters. That small radius, the small size, it is not possible to determine the exact radius. And the second one is the atom does not have a definite boundary. This is we discussed in the quantum mechanical model of an atom. So in the quantum mechanical model of an atom, we said very clearly the probability of finding the electron density even at a large distance from the nucleus is also never become zero. And there is some probability of finding the electron. That's why it is not possible to enclose the total region wherever the probability of finding the electron. That's why once we cannot find out the exact boundary from the center of the nucleus, it is not possible to determine the exact radius of an atom. And not only that one, the third one is from the size of the atom may change from one bonding state to or one bonded state to another. One bonded state to another. So in all the cases, the size of the atom may not be same, because once the environment, the type of bonding is changes, so the size of the atom is also changes. This is clearly explained, okay, by the different types of atomic radius. I will explain in the next. In that case, you can easily understand. And it comes to the fourth one, its neighborhood atoms. Neighborhood atoms also change the environment, okay, the size of the atom. That means particular atom is combined with two types of atoms in both the cases. So if A is there, A is combined with X and with Y. In both the cases, the radius of an atom never become same, because definitely there should be some influence of X and Y on A. So as a result, the size of the atom is also will be changes. That means, so these are the some reasons, okay, to not possible to determine the exact radius of an atom. Now, how do you determine the approximate radius of an atom? Once it is not possible to determine the exact radius, definitely it is possible to determine the approximate radius of an atom. That is, we can determine with the help of an sophisticated techniques, that is, okay, X-ray diffraction or electron diffraction or some spectroscopic techniques. So these are the various techniques we are using to determine the approximate atomic radius of an atom. So in that one, first okay, we can find out the distance. Suppose if the two atoms are there, like the two atoms are okay present in a molecule. So these are the two centers of the two different atoms or same atoms. Then first we can find out the distance between the two centers of atoms. This distance is called as internuclear distance. Internuclear distance. So this internuclear distance we can determine with the help of that technique, X-ray diffraction or electron diffraction or spectroscopic technique. So from that internuclear distance, it is clearly says that it is the distance between the two nuclei of atoms. Then definitely half of the internuclear distance gives the radius of this atom or not? Yes. So like that we can determine the approximate radius of an atom. So now this covalent radius may be that whatever we determine after determining the internuclear distance, and half of that internuclear distance is called as atomic radius. So this atomic radii may also will be called as covalent radius in the case of a covalent bond formed between the two atoms. So now this covalent radius may be defined as now 1/2 of the distance between the centers of nuclei of two similar atoms bonded by single covalent bond. So for example, here hydrogen molecule is there. So the hydrogen molecule is made up of two hydrogen atoms. Both atoms are same. So this type of the molecules are called as homonuclear molecule. Homonuclear molecule. So in this case, both the atoms are having the same size. So now first we can determine the distance between the two nuclei of hydrogen atom. This is called internuclear distance. Internuclear distance in the hydrogen molecule has been found to be 74. Then how do you calculate the radii? Okay, simply half of the distance between the centers of the two nuclei. Half of the distance means here 74 divided by 2. Then you are what you get 37 picometers is the atomic radii or covalent radii of which one? Hydrogen atom. This is also the same atom, so that's why this atomic radii is also 37 picometers. So like that, first we find out the internuclear distance between the two atoms. After that, so we make it as of, then whatever we get, that is called as covalent radius of homonuclear molecule. So all the time the same atoms may not be combined by single covalent bond. Sometimes the atoms, instead of hydrogen, somewhere it is there, chlorine is there, bromine or iodine, like it is there. Whenever the two different atoms are present, so how do you calculate the internuclear distance, and from that one how do you calculate the covalent radius? So it was given, in case of heteronuclear molecule, covalent radii may be defined as the distance between the center of nucleus of the atom and the mean position of the shared pair of electrons between the bonded atoms. That means, for example, let us say this is the one atom, the another atom, like it is there. So because two are the different atoms, that's why that molecule is called heteronuclear molecule. Say for example, AB is a molecule. So A and B are not same, are different in size, obviously. So now these are the two centers of the nuclei. The bond present between A and B is covalent bond. How the covalent bond is formed? The covalent bond is formed by the sharing of a pair of electrons between the atoms, and there should be some common region is present. So this is we call overlap region. So this is a common region for both the cases. In these two, okay. So here the center of the nuclei, from here center of a nuclei. So suppose if you want to determine the covalent radius of atom A, first you can find out the mean position in the overlap region. So from year to year, what is the exact center position, that is you can find out. So for example, this is that center position. Then from the center of the nuclei to the mean position of the overlap region. So year to year, it is called the atomic radii of which one? A, or A. And similarly, so to determine the covalent radii or atomic radii of B, so the distance from the center of the nucleus to the mean position. This is the mean position of overlapping region. So that is we have to be find out first. So then from the center of the nucleus to the mean position of the shared pair of electron. So that is this distance is given by the RB. And RA never equal to the RB, because these two are the different atoms. No two atoms have the same size. Definitely RA is different from RB. The covalent radius of A is different from covalent radius of B. Like that, we can calculate the covalent radius in the heteronuclear molecule. So in homoneutral molecule, just first we can find out the internuclear distance between the two atoms. Then we make it as a half. Then we get the covalent radius of atoms, because both atoms are having the same radii. But whereas in the case of heteronuclear molecule, so first we have to find out the mean position in the shared pair of electrons. From year to year, first we can find out which is the exact center position. From that one to the whichever the atom radius you needed, so till that nucleus, whatever the distance is there, that distance is called as covalent radius of that particular atom in heteronuclear molecule. So that's why the distance between the center of the nucleus of the atom and the mean position of the shared pair of electron. And that means first we have to find out the mean position here. So from the center of the nucleus to the mean position of the shared pair of electron is called as covalent radius of that atom. Here A, that's why it is RA. And this is the center of the nucleus, and this is the mean position is common for both. So from year to year, whatever the distance is there, that distance is called the covalent radius of an atom B. So did you get the same value in both the cases? You never get same, because this atom is different from that one. That's why in both the cases we are getting the different covalent radius values. Like that we can determine the covalent radius. So once you can determine these values, okay, you can try to be verify with the experimental data. They are 100% is correct. Whatever the values are obtained here, the same values, approximately the same values will be present in the experimental data also. So that's why the covalent radius can be determined. Okay, between the first we can determine the center of the the two atoms, internuclear distance between the two atoms. After that we make it as generally of, that is called as a covalent radius. So sometimes the atomic radii, so when we measured in terms of the metals, that is called as a metallic radii. It is just same like the covalent radii. Only the difference here the atoms are metals. In the case of covalent radii, the atoms are non-metals. That is the only difference. So the metallic radii is also defined as half of the internuclear distance between the two neighboring atoms of metal in metallic lattice. So generally, so the metals in the space, they are very closely arranged. That leads to an arrangement that is called as a metallic lattice. In that metallic lattice, the metals are bonded together by metallic bonds. Then first we can find out the internuclear distance between the two metal atoms which are neighborly present. So then from that internuclear distance, so just we make it as half, just like covalent radius, we are getting the metallic radii. For example, copper metal is there. So between the two copper atoms which are present neighborly each other, so the distance is found to be 256 picometers. The internuclear distance between the two copper atoms in copper metallic lattice is 256 meters. Then what is the metallic radii of copper metal atom? Just make it as half of the internuclear distance between the two neighboring metal atoms. So that 256 divided by 2. Then what do you get? 128 picometers. 128 picometers is the metallic radii of copper. So like that, atomic radii so far, the covalent radii and metallic radii. In the covalent radii for two types of molecules, homomolecules and heteronuclear molecules. In the homonuclear molecules, half of the internuclear distance is called as covalent radii of homonuclear molecule. Whereas in heteronuclear molecule, so the covalent radii may be defined as the distance from the nucleus of an atom to the mean position of the shared pair of electrons between the two bonded atoms is called as covalent radii. So whereas in metallic radii, so first we can measure the internuclear distance between the two neighboring metal atoms, then make it as half, then again we get metallic radii. So then we go to the next one, van der Waals radii. So in case of noble gases, so the atomic radii is generally expressed in terms of van der Waals radii. So why we express in terms of van der Waals radii is the inert gases do not participate in any chemical reaction. That means they do not combine with any other elements, so that the molecules are not formed. So in that cases, these inert gases or noble gases are separated by some distance. Why they are separated by certain distance? Why they are come very close together? Because the forces which are exist between the noble gases are van der Waals forces. These van der Waals forces are very weak force. Because of that weak force of attraction between the noble gases, they are separated by some distance. So now here, when they are separated by large distance, then we can find out the internuclear distance between the two neighborhood noble gases. So then after determining that internuclear distance between the two neighborhood atoms of noble gases, then make it as half. So whatever you get that value, that is called as van der Waals radii. So this is named only because of the presence of the van der Waals forces between the noble gases. That's why it is called as van der Waals radii. It is also just like the covalent radii or metallic radii, but only the difference is there the atoms are combining together to form a molecule. In that molecule we can find out the internuclear distance in the case of the covalent radii, whereas in the metallic lattice the two neighborhood metal atoms internuclear distance we can measure. But in the case of the van der Waals radii, here also we can determine the internuclear distance between the two atoms, but the two atoms are never very close like in the determination of covalent radii or metallic radii. They are separated by the large distance. So that is the only difference from the covalent radii or metallic radii to the van der Waals radii. So here for example, Not only between the noble gases, sometimes between the molecules also, the van der Waals forces are present. These are the common forces are exist between two atoms or two molecules. So for example, let us take this is the chlorine molecule. So between the two Cl2 molecule, this is the one Cl2, this is another Cl2 molecule. These Cl2 molecules are never come very close together. So why? Because the van der Waals forces whatever are present, they never make them very close together. They are weak forces. That's why they are separated by large distance. Then you can first find out the internuclear distance between the two chlorine atoms of adjacent molecules. That is found to be 360 picometers. So then make it as of 360 divided by 2. Then 360 divided by 2, what do you get? 180. 180 is the van der Waals radii. So suppose if you determine the covalent radii. When you determine the covalent radii, so that is within the molecule. So within the molecule, first we can find out the internuclear distance between the two nuclei of chlorine atoms. That is 198 picometer. Half of that internuclear distance between the two chlorine atoms is 99 picometer. 99 picometer is the covalent radii. Covalent radii is 99 picometer. Van der Waals radii is 180 picometer. So which is larger in size? The van der Waals radii. That's why we can conclude one statement. Van der Waals radii is always greater than the covalent radii. This is the first conclusion. Go to the second conclusion. So while your determination of the covalent radii or metallic radii, whatever you get the value, that value is always less than the actual atomic radii. So why do you get less than the actual atomic radii? So the reason is, for example, the two hydrogen atoms are there. These two hydrogen atoms are combining together to form a molecule. So the bond present between these two is a covalent bond, like this. Then first you can find out the internuclear distance, that is 74 picometers. This is 74 picometers. Then half of the internuclear distance, that is 37 picometer. 37 picometer is from ear to ear. This is up to that point. So is distance between the center of the nucleus to the ear, the mean position, up to ear. This is 37 picometers. Suppose if only one atom is there, if you can draw only one atom. So this is the center of the nucleus. Same eyes like that you can draw, try to draw. It is not possible to draw eyes. So this is the nucleus, this is the nucleus. Then from ear to ear. So now just you can see that in both the cases the nucleus are present at the same position. See, comparing at same position, but the mean position like this. This is, you can draw like that. Up to here only you are calculating the distance, okay, in the case of combining stage. But actual radius is from the center of the nucleus to the boundary, outermost shell. This is the distance is there. So when you are calculating the distance, actual atomic radii from the center of the nucleus to here, definitely you are getting 37 picometers. You are not getting 37 eyes like this. Whenever it is an isolated, just I can draw or calculating the radius from the center of the nucleus to outermost shell, definitely I am getting the greater than 37 picometer. But when the combined stage, okay, what do you get? 37. That means you are getting the less value than actual atomic radii. That's why this 37 picometer, whatever you have determined, it is not an exact atomic radii, it is an approximate atomic radii. So these are the two conclusions we made. Okay, so from this entire atomic radii, one is van der Waals radii is always greater than the covalent radii, and whatever the covalent radii you are determining in the combined state, it is always obtained very less than value of which one beta? Actual atomic radii. So what is the reason for that one? So this is the region is there. This is a common region for both the atoms. That's why we never taken the value till the end. From until here we never consider, only until this one, because we are making it as a off. So that is comes to here only. That's why whatever the value obtained is always that is less than which one? Actual atomic radii. So like that. So the atomic radius we may express it in terms of covalent radii or metallic radii or van der Waals radii. This covalent radii in terms of a molecules which are formed by the covalent bonds. The metallic radii we are expressed in terms of the metals which are bonded together by metallic bond. The van der Waals radii is applied for the atoms which are separated by the van der Waals forces. So these are all the three are simple together, we simply called as atomic radii. Atomic radii is covalent radii or metallic radii or van der Waals radii. But all are you getting the same value? No. The van der Waals radii is always greater than which one? Covalent radii or metallic radii. So now let us discuss how this atomic radii varies in periods and groups. First go to the variation of atomic radii in periods. So there is one generalized statement is there, that is, as we move from left to right in each period, atomic radii decreases with increasing atomic number. So that means any period, as we move from left to right, the atomic radii is decreases. So let us take an example. In the second period, we start from lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, up to the fluorine I will discuss. After the fluorine, neon, that is also I will discuss. First let me discuss till fluorine. So, atomic number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Number of protons, same as the atomic number, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Number of electrons, so 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So now this statement you can apply for that one. This is in a second period. In the second period, as we move from left to right, that is from lithium to fluorine, so the atomic radii is decreases. That means the fluorine is smaller in size, lithium is larger in size. In which period? Second period. So now here, so why the atomic radii is decreases as we move from left to right? That is the question. First let us take lithium and beryllium. So it is in a nucleus. This is in a lithium. How many electrons are present? 2 electrons. So, and 2 electrons in the first shell, and the other electron is present in the second shell, say for example. So you know very well, so there is some force of attraction on these electrons. All the electrons are feeling or experiencing some positive charge from the nucleus, that is called as effective nuclear charge. The net positive charge experienced by the electrons from the nucleus is called as effective nuclear charge. So that's why these electrons are tightly held to the nucleus in that atom. Now let us compare from lithium to beryllium. As we move from lithium to beryllium, so then the number of electrons are increases. As well as the number of protons are also increases. So from year to year, year 3, 3 and year 4 and 4. So what is the observation we made here? In the case of a lithium, the electronic configuration is 1s2, 2s1, here 1s2, 2s2. So as we move from lithium to beryllium, the number of electrons are increases, but whatever the electron is increases, that will be added to the same shell. So that electron goes to the same energy level. And the positive charges increases. Now here my question is, so the positive charge experienced by the electrons in the lithium should be same as the positive charge experienced by the electrons in the beryllium? No. So because as we move from lithium to beryllium, so the number of electrons are increases, at the same time the positive charge is also increases, so that the net experience of positive charge by that electron from the nucleus is also increases. That is, we say simply, the effective nuclear charge per each electron is increases as we move from lithium to beryllium. When the effective nuclear charge is increases, so definitely the electrons are strongly attracted toward the nucleus in the case of beryllium as compared to which one? Lithium. So when the electrons are strongly attracted toward the nucleus, the distance between the center of the nucleus to the outermost shell electrons decreases. Consequently, so the distance from the center of the nucleus to the outermost electrons is called as atomic radius. Atomic radius is decreases. That's why as we move from lithium to beryllium, the atomic radius is decreases. Then beryllium to boron. As we move from beryllium to boron, okay, so the number of electrons are increases, number of protons are increases. Whatever the electron is increases, that is also goes to the same energy level. But the positive charge experienced by the electrons in the case of a boron is different from the beryllium. Here the positive charge is increases from beryllium to boron. So that's why the net positive charge experienced by the electrons present in the boron is more than that of beryllium. So that is we call effective nuclear charge. Effective nuclear charge experienced by the electrons in the case of a boron is more than that of which one? Beryllium. When effective nuclear charge on the outermost electrons is more, definitely they are somewhat strongly attracted toward the nucleus as compared to the beryllium. So that the distance between the nucleus to the outermost electrons is further decreases as compared to the beryllium. The distance is decreases is nothing but what is that? Atomic radii is decreases. That means as we move from lithium to beryllium, beryllium to boron, the effective nuclear charge is increases. As a result, the electrons are strongly attracted toward the nucleus. Consequently, the distance between the center of the nucleus to the outermost electrons is decreases. That is we call the distance from the center of the nucleus to the outermost shell electrons is called as atomic radius. Atomic radius is decreases. So that's why lithium is larger in size, fluorine is smaller in size. As we move from lithium to fluorine, the atomic radii is decreases. Okay, so in the second period, one more element is there. What about that one? That is, after fluorine, you are getting the neon. Neon atomic number 10. The number of protons are 10, number of electrons are 10. So this is on a noble gas. In the noble gas, always we are consider which radii? Van der Waals radii. Van der Waals radii we can consider. But whereas in the case of the rest of the elements, these are the non-metals, we are considered the covalent radii. Just now I said, Van der Waals radii is always greater than the covalent radii. So that's why suddenly as we move from fluorine to neon, the increase in atomic radii. So until here the fluorine atomic radii is decreases, but there is a sudden change, abruptly change in the case of atomic radii from fluorine to neon, the atomic radii suddenly increases. Why? Because in the case of a neon, we are considered which radii? Van der Waals radii. But whereas in the rest of the elements, we are considered the covalent radii. So the covalent radii is always smaller than the which one? Van der Waals radii. That's why the neon is having the larger in size as compared to the rest of the elements present in the second period. Similarly, in the rest of the periods also, as we move from left to right, generally the atomic radii is decreases with increase in the atomic number. They may ask the question, what is atomic radii? Of it is various in periods, explain. So simply you can determine atomic radii. Atomic radii is defined as the distance from the center of the nucleus to the outermost shell electrons. That is called as atomic radii. How it varies in the periods? So as we move from left to right in each period, atomic radii is decreases with increase in the atomic number. So why it is increases? Why it is decreases? So the reason is as we move from left to right, so the electrons are added to the same shell and the positive charges also will be increases. So consequently, the effective nuclear charge per each electron increases. As a result, the electrons are strongly attracted toward the nucleus. Okay, consequently, the distance from the center of the nucleus to the outermost electrons decreases. So that's why atomic radii is decreases as we move from left to right in each period. So now we discuss the variation of atomic radii in groups. In periods, atomic radii is decreases. What happened in the groups? There is a statement. In general, as we go down the group, atomic radii of elements increases. So, in any group, as we move from top to bottom, the atomic radii is increases. Why it is increases? So, let us take an example. A group of elements, say first group elements, lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium. So, atomic number 3, Z is equal to 3, 11, 19, 37. And here, number of protons, 3, 11, 19, 37. Number of electrons, so 3, 11, 19, 37. Electronic configuration, 1s2, 2s1, 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s1, 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, 4s1, 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, 4s2, 3d10, 4p6, 5s1. So these are the electronic configuration of group 1 elements. So what the statement is? For example, in this case, as we move down the group from lithium to rubidium or next to cesium, okay. So as we down the group, as we go from top to bottom in a group, the atomic radii, what happened? Increases. Atomic radii increases. That means cesium is larger in size, lithium is smaller in size. So just you can observe here, as we go down the group, the positive charges increases, at the same time the number of electrons are also increases. So just now we discussed in the periods, if as we go down the group, as the positive charges increases, so the net positive charge experienced by the electrons are also will be increases as we go down the group. What do you mean by that? The effective nuclear charge is increases for each electron as we go down the group. If effective nuclear charge is increases, so what is happened? So whatever the electrons are presented in the outermost shell, they are strongly attracted toward the nucleus. When they are strongly attracted toward the nucleus, the distance between the center of the nucleus to the outermost shell electrons decreases. So what is that? Atomic radius is decreases. And that means as we go down the group, if we are considering the effective nuclear charge, the effective nuclear charge increases, which will be supported always, atomic radii decreases. But what we are giving the statement here, as we go down the group, atomic radii of elements is increases. And that means it is not a dominant factor, okay, to explain that principle. In addition to the effective nuclear charge, there is one more property is also operating, that is, as we move from lithium to sodium, okay, in the lithium only, the last electron is present in the second energy level. But here, third energy level. Here, fourth. Here, fifth. In the next, sixth energy level. And that means, as we go down the group from top to bottom in a group, So every time there is an addition of a new principal shell. So here up to second, here then third, here fourth, that is clearly indicates. So this is the first one, then this is the second one. The distance from the center of the nucleus to the outermost shell. It is very clearly, in the first case it is less than the, which one better? Second case. Because here only one energy level, here two energy levels are there. Up to the second, the electrons are present. So that's why the distance from the center of the nucleus to the outermost shell in the case of a 2 is greater than which one better? First one. Same concept you can apply here. Here till the second energy level, here third, here fourth, here fifth energy level, the electrons are present. So that is very clearly indicates, so the probability of finding the electron density or the electron cloud, okay, is maximum, that is increases as we go down the group. So simply, so once that the distance from the center of the nucleus to the outermost shell electrons is increases, that is atomic radii is increases. That means, so here addition of a new principal quantum number, addition of a new principal quantum number, principal shell or quantum number, okay, so that will be supported the atomic radii increases. So the effective nuclear charge is increases as we go down the group. If you want to explain with respect to these two, atomic radii decreases. So with respect to the addition of a new principal shell, that is clearly indicates the atomic radii is increases. Now which is the correct one? Okay. So when we are comparing the effect of these two, the addition of a new principal shell can be dominate the effect of increasing the nuclear charge. It is dominating than this one. Once it is dominating means what does it say? It is supported to the which one? Atomic radii is increases. That's why as we go down the group, atomic radii is increases. So what they ask the question is, may ask, so define atomic radii, how explain how it is varying in the groups. Just now I said atomic radii is nothing but the distance from the center of the nucleus to the outermost shell electrons is called as atomic radii. How it varies in the groups? As we move from top to bottom, the atomic radii is increases. Why atomic radii is increases? Because as we go down the group, okay, so the effective nuclear charge is increases. So as well as there is addition of a new principal shell as we go down the group. So the addition of a new principal shell, okay, is dominating the effect of increasing the nuclear charge. So that's why addition of a new principal shell will be, okay, causes the increasing the atomic radii, or the distance increases from the center of the nucleus to the outermost shell. That's why atomic radii is increases as we go down the group. The two statements very clear. So in periods, atomic radii as we move from left to right decreases. In groups, as we move from top to bottom, atomic radii is increases.